Hey there YouTube, I'm Yukitsu, this is the Yukitsu Times, welcome to my channel, welcome to more Company of Heroes 2. So, we're going to be doing a couple of games here, and as you can see, these are now 1 versus 1 games, as opposed to the other ones, which were those sort of 3v3 matches that I also like doing. Turns out I'm actually a lot better at 1v1s, so not saying it's my teams, but, you know, there's a very, very distinct difference between me when I'm playing 1v1 and when I'm playing 2v2. Now, this one, in particular, I want to talk about a few things while the games are going on. Most of what I want to talk about is, in fact, going to be very game-related, so don't worry about that. But I also want to talk a little bit about the fact that I now have a Twitter account for this channel. So do check that out if you happen to be interested in Twitter or whatever. And if you find me on there, it's just Yukitsu Times, as you would suspect. Just write me a tweet or whatever and tell me what the hell it is I'm supposed to do with Twitter, because I don't honestly really know all that much about it, and I don't really use it, so I don't actually know what to put on it. Yeah, so that's going to be definitely something I would like to hear from you guys. And, you know, you can also put it in the comments section of this video if you want to instead. That's also pretty appropriate. Either way, though, yeah, that's going to be something new. I'll try to keep you guys posted on what sort of games I'm playing, what sort of things I'm doing at the time. But, yeah, I'll have to see how you guys like it, what you want out of it, and all that other good stuff. So, now, what I want to talk about in this game is that I'm going to be playing two very similar matches, one against the Oberkommando West faction and one against these generic Wehrmacht forces, or the default Wehrmacht forces. Now, neither player that I'm playing against in this particular thing is going to be very skilled. Both of these are going to be fairly mediocre players, and you're gonna, like, I think it's fair to say that in this particular case, because their performance against me is, like, really bad, and I'm not very good at this game. But, you'll just definitely see a difference in sort of the power that each faction has and how well that they can resist against me while they're playing. So I think that Relic in general is one of those companies that's really quite good at making games, but they really have a bad tendency to unbalance them. And I think that Company of Heroes is one of those ones that's at risk of having that happen. Now, I think that the Oberkommando faction and the US forces are not necessarily much better than the default forces that you see arrayed in the base game. But I think that there is a strong possibility that they are a little bit stronger, and we're going to find over time that people are going to be dominating games with the Oberkommando where they could not with the generic Wehrmacht forces. And I think that you're going to find that people are going to be doing better with the Americans as opposed to the Soviets over time as well, especially in 1 versus 1 matches, which I think are more based on the individual skill of the players as opposed to sort of that team coordination and synergy between players. Now, I'm going to point out my strategy for this one, and it's going to be similar to the strategy I used in the other one. I'm building up a good number of conscripts. You can see I've actually got 4 of them already, compared to what my opponent has, which is, if we look here, he's got a Gren squad, a sniper, another Gren coming on the way, and an engineer squad. He would have had 2 engineer squads, but one of them did get killed. So, again, we're in the mirror of that same fight we had earlier. I've got my conscripts here, firing away at these grenadiers. We're going to bring in a second conscript unit, and they're going to continue on with this fight. I've got this better position, and I've got twice the firepower, so that's going to be heavily in my favor, but the sniper's really going to start turning the tide here as he starts taking out these troops. Now, a sniper does better against people who use a lot of support weaponry. I'm not doing that, so you're going to see here, I'm going to be able to catch this sniper very easily. So I hit Ura, I just run my infantry up here, and they all open fire on the sniper, run up again here, and just finish him off. So that is a dead sniper, and that's an advantage to using these conscript squads as opposed to heavy weapons. So I finally built my support weapon Compania, like, way into the game. I've still got 4 units, and you're going to see that I'm going to work very hard at preserving my units here. This unit I need to get moving, and it's going to be a long, long time before I actually get them around to it. But over here, I get engaged by grenadiers over here, so I'm going to move these guys back behind hard cover over here, and that's going to let me start winning that combat. In the meantime, these heavily injured guys are just checking down here and trying to see if they can get a free cap, and then head on, and that's going to be exactly what they're going to do. So bring up over here another engineer unit, or rather that first engineering unit, and yeah, we're going to be able to start moving them back and around. This unit is forced to flee. I did want them to heal before they took any more losses, and these grenadiers, or these pioneers rather, are going to be able to take that point before these units are able to sort of rush up there, because I didn't really care too much if they took it for a little while. In the meantime, though, this gunfight going to take a very, very long time at this long range between this wall here. He's got a little bit of cover from the tree as well. But as you can see, I'm focused more on sort of moving my troops around and capping. And my unit here, since it can hold up with a bit of terrain, I'm willing to leave it there to sort of deny area to my opponent. But I'm not moving too aggressively with it. I'm not trying to go for a kill here or anything like that. Meantime, moving these conscripts up to sort of sweep through and just check more capture points. And I'm just trying to assert a lot of map control and a lot of map dominance. And my opponent is trying to actually push me off of the central point. He wants to actually engage my troops that he's been finding in these little dribs and drabs and kill them. Which I think that is a typical thing, because it reduces that sort of manpower, it reduces that sort of munitions. In the meantime, like, this unit gets flanked, I'm forced to retreat it back. I retreat it back pretty quickly before I really can take any losses here, I think. Yeah, so they bugger off before I can really lose any more guys. And down here, I managed to take out this point and those pioneers who were trying to build a reinforcement there. In the meantime, still just capping. I'm not trying to engage actively the German forces. I don't really care to directly engage. That's sort of the mobility aspect of this, is if I see too much pressure or too much resistance from the Germans, I don't want to have to fight them. What I want to do instead is sort of go around those hard points and those forces. I want to tie them up and keep them as slow as possible, while simultaneously preparing my own counterattacks, preparing flanks, and preparing all that other good sort of stuff. Now, these guys over here, finally getting that flamethrower, and they're going to come around here and start attacking this munitions catch eventually. Over here, I get hit by a grenade. The wall, unfortunately, does reduce the damage I take. And two more squads, since my guys have tied up these guys, are going to come around and swoop in there. And the reason that I'm finally trying to pin down and take out German units is because I've taken out pretty much all of the map. We finally got our flamethrower that's going to help us take this munitions cache out faster. But in the meantime, like, we're just going to be able to run through here and chase these Germans off no problem, capture these points back again. So our opponent has been forced back. He's forced to replenish these expensive units. It does cost a lot to replenish a grenadier unit compared to replenishing a conscript unit, which is one of the big advantages of conscripts. But even so, I'm still just trying to take over all these different points. I don't really care about the victory point even, because I just want to deny my opponent resources. The less munitions he has, the less grenades he can use, the less special weapons he can use on his units. So we're able to capture these points here, and we're able to deny all these resources to our opponent. We're also pushing up to this one, and we're going to actually try and create a bit of a strong point here later on. For now, Grenadier unit manages to push their way in here and is going to come in contact with these conscripts on fairly even ground. I've got some cover, he's got none, so we're actually going to pull a little bit ahead in this one. That grenade lands, causes quite a bit of chaos and damage there, but it's nothing so bad, and a second unit of our conscripts manages to pull in here and take the place and sort of chase these guys off. So once again, these grenadiers not lasting that long in combat. Over here, we've finally taken out that supply cache so we can capture this point here, and those engineers are going to start working up towards the capture and the munitions cache over here. I could have just skipped that and gone for the easier one, but honestly, denying that seemed like a better idea at the time because it was a little bit more sure. This unit is going to get completely freaking raffle-owned by a grenade. Just, yeah, that was one of those really lucky grenades. My guys were bunched up really funny as well because I wasn't paying attention to that, but in any event, with these units retreating, I have to sort of draw these guys back from here. I want to keep them up here to sort of contest this area, but as you can see, now I'm forced to go back here. Let's look at our resources bar here. You can see the Wehrmacht forces, they've got 600 manpower to my about 500. They've got 700 to my 500, basically. They're getting a lot more income from it because they've got their units with, they've got far fewer units on the field compared to me. I've got 34 population, they've got 19. So, you know, we're getting a lot less manpower generation. And also, like, he needs to spend it a little faster. I also need to spend it a little faster. But I think he's been saving up for a heavy tank. If we look at his sort of thing here, he's got sort of actually no, he doesn't really have the tanks, that's a different one. He's got the command tanks, but they're not too expensive. So, in any event though, he's got this finally built, and this gives him access to things like the half-track, the scout car, and the pack And he's going to be using it for these Panzer Grenadiers, which are a very good, very versatile unit, but they cost a lot of manpower. So you can see that's probably why he's been pooling so much of it. Anyway, let's, or actually, no, that's my manpower. Okay, his is the other one. Either way, let's switch back to our view. Let's turn off this thing here. We've taken over this little point here, and we were getting into yet another skirmish over here, forcing back yet again that Grenadier unit, and very luckily killing it. So we forced him back yet again. He's lost another one of his units, so he's really down on manpower. He wants to get a Panzer Grenadier blob. Panzer Grenadiers are equipped with a really good anti-infantry weapon, and they'll get anti-tank weapons with the Panzer Shreks. But as you can see, like, we're asserting a lot of dominance and map control here. I know what he's building, and I know when he's building it, which is really helping me out here. I've built this armored infantry, or this Tankovia battalion command, so we're going to be able to get out some tanks pretty soon. I've got enough fuel that I'm skipping straight to the T-34 rather than building a T-70 in this particular case. As much as I love T-70s, I don't feel particularly that I need to get out a T-70, and now that I know he's got Panzer Grenadiers out in the field already, I know that I can't actually use them safely, because he's going to be able to give his Panzer Grenadiers the Panzer Shreks. Unfortunately for him, he's going to run them through here thinking that this is not going to be that populated, by pure chance. Like, I had actually been thinking I need to move these troops away because there's too many here, but they just tear straight through those Panzer Grenadiers while he's focusing on something else. I think he was focusing on these Grenadiers and trying to figure out what he should do with them and where to send them. And I'm actually going to start sending my units elsewhere. Not before I build some mines here, though. I built some landmines on that bridge because I know that my opponent is going to have to move through there if he wants to start capturing anything. Now, I think he does see that I'm putting landmines there because he's not going to move these guys through there. In any event, though, T-34 is now taking the field, and like at this point in time, my opponent has nothing that he could really do. If we look here, he's got 600 manpowers again. He's going to try, if I recall, to produce more of those Panzer Grenadiers, but like at this point in time, I think he's at a little bit of a loss as to what to do. Like, he can't escalate his battle phase, and at this point in time, my tank is going to run in there, and he's going to quit the game because he knows that he can't win at this point in time. So anyway, that is this particular match. It was the generic Germans, and I think that they're currently at this time a little bit weaker than the Oberkommando, but we'll take a look at the Oberkommando West and see what you guys think in our next match. So, yeah, that is that particular match. Okay, welcome back, and as you can see, once again, we're playing as the Soviets. Same map, reverse side in this particular one, but we're against the Oberkommando West. We want to take a quick look at them. One of the peculiarities of them is that they can build virtually everything at the start of the game already. They can build Volks Grenadiers, which are their basic infantry unit. They're a little bit cheaper, a little bit worse than conscripts. And they've also got the Sturm Pioneer squads, which are an assault unit, which are incredibly good. They also have these SWS supply half-tracks, which turn into these sort of command bases, which, as you can see, are these very mobile command bases that they set up. They also start with Sturm Pioneers instead of standard ones. Now, this is a 320 cost unit, which means that it outperforms everything that I have as far as infantry goes in the early game. And since they're an assault unit, they can just run straight into my units and usually dominate them. Now, this player is not particularly the best Oberkommando West player that I've ever played. I actually played a 1v1 that was a grueling hour-long match against an Oberkommando player just yesterday, and like, it was a really good match, and I might show it as well. But he used his Sturm Pioneers much better than this player, and he also used his fortifications a lot better than this particular player. Not to say that this player is like really bad, it's just the other one is pretty good. So, in any event, against this particular faction, against the Oberkommando West, I retreat back my engineers much earlier and actually build the support weapon Campania much earlier. The reason being that I need heavier weapons to try and deal with the Sturm Pioneers. And also, I know for a fact that these Volks Grenadiers, they've got the Model 24 stick grenade, but it's something that they don't really have access to just yet. They have to build their medical thing, which a lot of them are going to do, but not only does that happen, but I don't think that this is quite as good as the standard grenade. Now, Volks Grenadiers are not supposed to be premier infantry. They're supposed to mostly... They're conscripts. They were literally German conscripts during the Second World War who were pulled up to fight in the last few days of the Third Reich. And for the most part, they fought similarly or worse than their Soviet counterparts. A lot of them were sort of the old infirm men who could not have signed up for the army in the first draft. So I find it a little bit odd that they're statistically per person a little bit superior than conscripts. But overall, it's not anything too bad that I'm going to complain about too much. Anyway, I managed to sort of move some of my units over here into cover. And we're going to get into a bit of a fight against these Volksgrenadiers. I'm going to hop into some cover here, some better cover at any rate, and we're going to start opening up on them. And it's going to swing into my advantage, and they're going to unfortunately move these Sturm Pioneers in here. I'm going to hop the fence, move around that other side, and that's going to give me an advantage again in combat here, since we're going to be firing far distance against these Sturm Pioneers, who are really bad at long range. My guys are okay at long range. There's only 2 guys in this house, so they're not providing too much fire. They are getting good flanking shots against my guys, however, so I'm not getting the best cover out of this. But in any event, I'm not too worried about the 2 guys in there. They've got low health. And these Sturm Pioneers, not too bad. The problem is going to be that these Volksgrenadiers get here. I built an Maxim heavy machine gun because I knew that was going to be important against the style of army that you typically see the Oberkommando have. But as you can see, like, we're just having that same sort of push in the center here. It's just much, much harder for me to beat them. Partly because the Sturm Pioneers and also because he's taking a building, but I've got my MG set up. It's going to start opening fire on these guys. It's going to deal some damage to them. He's taking this flank as well, but I'm taking this one over here, so it's going to even out just a little bit. I'm forced to retreat back one of my units of conscripts, but the other one is going to be able to stay firm for a little while longer. We're taking out these Sturm Pioneers okay. These guys basically all die at the same time somehow. But yeah, this is a long, drawn-out particular skirmish here, and you can see that he's already asserting much, much better battlefield control than the last player was. So I'm going to start moving troops around here to try and stabilize the situation a little bit better. We've killed that unit that was in that building. He replaces it with another unit in that building, at which point I can't continue this fight. I'm forced to retreat these conscripts back, but I'm going to be able to put this MG into the building over here, which I don't necessarily normally really like, but because he's got so many assault troops, I need to put them in the building to prevent him from flanking and moving around. And also, like, it lets me sort of use that suppressive fire from that machine gun much, much more efficiently. So, in any event, I'm moving my troops around here once again. I think I'm getting a flamethrower on these guys pretty soon, but yeah, things are a little bit worse. You can tell just how much worse it is in this compared to the last time. Anyway, he's able to capture this point because I can't really contest it from this building. All I can do is make it really sort of miserable for him to stand in the streets like this. So this unit suppressed now. I'm able to continue pouring down fire on all these different guys here. And the MG, the German MG doesn't do damage. The Russian one does. But these guys fully pinned now. They can't capture anymore, so that stops them from taking that. And you're going to see me starting to move my engineers around and capturing all these points along this side here, while I'm also capturing points along this side. I'm just about at level 2, and as you can see, that I've chosen the doctrine that gives me shock troopers, which is really important against the Oberkommando, in my opinion. We've got these units sort of pinned down just a little bit, but they're still able to fire back. Fortunately, this machine gun ends up pinned. It stops firing, so I'm able to continue on here. And I'm able to get around behind him with these conscripts here in this flanking attack, which is going to just be really bad for him to be in. That gives me my first unit of shock troops. Unfortunately, this unit's kind of in the open against these Volksgrenadier. This is that sort of fight that I think that I should really have had a bigger advantage in, just because of what the units were, but either way, I decided to retreat my unit back instead of taking too many casualties in this stand-up fight here. We're able to sort of push our way in through this MG pretty easily here. They've got another MG behind us, which is going to sort of force our troops to retreat back a little bit. Actually, yeah, that one takes that grenade and they're forced back, but they're going to actually live, so I'll be able to preserve that okay. And with the combination of the machine gun fire and these guys firing right from point-blank range, it's going to be a bit of a massacre, so that's perfectly fine. Retreat this unit back here, bring in another unit of conscripts to the fore, but I'm also pushing shock troopers up against these Volksgrenadiers. The Volksgrenadiers, no chance whatsoever against assault troops. Anyway, over here, I go in to flank this MG 34 with my flamethrower just as they were packing up. So I'm able to get them into flamethrower range. This means that I can bring this unit of infantry back in. They open up with their machine gun on them, but I'm able to bring in my rifleman from the side, which means that he can't pin both my units. So I'm able to cause a lot of damage to that unit. They're forced back pretty hard, and I'm able to take the center. At the same time, the shock troopers have moved over to this side and are going to continue along this side, which is now under-defended. We're able to take over this point and we're able to keep it. I think he wanted to reinforce it, but instead he's sort of moving more to this sort of side here where he can cover 2 of the 3 stars, which I think is a really smart idea. To a certain extent, although I think I've also seen very effective defenses held out over here. Now, he's moved Volksgrenadiers into this house. I have no real desire to get near that house in particular. It doesn't guard anything I'm interested in. Instead, I'm moving units to sort of capture and back capture points along the side here. This unit is going to go all the way up here just because I want to deny him those resources yet again. I don't want my opponent to have access to resources because that is what really causes problems. He's moving this supply half-track because he wants to build a more advanced company headquarters of some sort. He's not buying it just yet because he doesn't have the resources, if I recall. So he's going to take a little while longer before he can actually do that. Now, at this point in time, I've got another engineer unit, not too important. Over here, I've got my flamethrower over here to start burning out these troops, so I feel confident sort of attacking them with those flamethrower troops, because the flamethrower, I mean, it just burns through them so well. In the meantime, though, Machine Gun 42 setup forces me back pretty hard, and at this point in time, what's going to happen is I'm going to get in here with these conscripts, but I'm also going to move around the flank eventually with these shock troopers, which is going to help me start taking out these like infantry support weapons and such. So my troops forced back because of all of the sort of resistance that I saw behind that building, but I did manage to take that building, and I'm also managing to capture this point up here, and so also managing to move some reinforcements up here. Now, I know where his support weapon is, and I know that my infantry up here are not going to be able to do a whole lot, but, you know, he's sort of swarming up this hill, and I've decided, okay, well, I'm just going to take this house, and I'm assuming that he hasn't left anything behind to defend this, this infantry support gun. So I think I can take it out very easily with these shock troopers. So in any event, I've got the field hospital up, I've got my engineers back there healing up a little bit, and I've got more conscripts moving to the fore. These guys holed up in this house are going to do an okay job of surviving. It's going to be a bit rough for them, but all they have to do is hold up. In the meantime, submachine gunners really just sort of move through here really easily. I mean, these guys just don't have even a hope in hell. Anyway, once I've taken those guys out, I just sort of move them up here, and move them to support my infantry that are pinned in this building here. So they're going to run up really fast, and just... You're going to see the power of these shock troopers. It's just ridiculous how good they are. Anyway. So the HMG, they start firing at my other guys, or trying to turn around, but they run away. Grenade goes out, wipes out a lot of that machine gun nest, and then I managed to get into a good position to start taking out even more of them. Unfortunately, they get some Fallschirmjägers over here along with an MG34, which is going to stop this push here. Fallschirmjägers just really, really, really good. When I'm pinned, I can't fight back effectively, so I'm forced to retreat my units back. At this point in time, this unit is forced to, I think, out of the building, or they just die. I can't really remember which. But in any event, I'm sending more troops to the front here. I really want to sort of hold this area. I've got more conscripts around there, but I'm also building my tank via battalion command. So that's going to give me an advantage in this particular match, because it's going to give me that Hero T70. Hero T70 is really, really freaking good, especially when your opponent's building a lot of these MG43s. Against the Oberkommando, like, they just rely so much on those sorts of units, those really sort of great infantry units early on, and when you can build that sort of early Hero T70, you just sort of really wreck their day. In any event, I've still got some riflemen hanging around here. I've got them a bit spread out because I don't want too many of my guys to get wiped out by the infantry support gun that I'm assuming that he recruited, but he didn't actually do it. I figured he would have, but in any event, he's got his machine gun moving in and moving up. He moves up way too close, however, and he gets ambushed by these conscripts that I had here. And they're actually going to wipe out pretty much another MG, so good for us. The Fallschirmjägers moving around the back, and they're going to sort of move around the side. I'm continuing moving with these guys, even though he's sort of retreating with this, with that MG crew member. I think they forgot their MG or something, but looks like they still have it. In any event, now that he's sort of moved them back, I'm going to start aggressively charging forward with my infantry here. Over here, 2 engineer squads with flamethrowers. Over here, lots of troops, and my, of course, T-70 is going to start heading into the fray as well. So over here, I just really need to take out more of these goddamn Volksgrenadiers, because they've got these ridiculous Panzerschrecks, of course. Now, he is recruiting those units, and he's also retreating this supply half-track. I don't really care about that. What I do care about is to try and get this 7.5. In the meantime, I'm going to try and run in my tank as fast as possible, because I am a little bit outnumbered in this sector. So yeah, what I'm going to eventually do is figure out where his support weapon is. He's got a few too many units hanging around here to honestly beat with what I've got here, but you're going to see the T-70 get in there at just the right moment here. So I'm just sort of kicking around from this little flank here, taking shots at these Volksgrenadiers. It's going to be a little bit my advantage. My guys are quite veteran. These guys, on the other hand, are quite screwed. Over here, Fallschirmjäger getting completely wrecked by flamethrowers. Even though they're quite good in that sort of close-range fight. T-70 just swoops in and just really cleans up quite nicely here. So yeah, we get quite a lot of kills against these units, especially nice against the Fallschirmjägers, which are very expensive. Unfortunately, the city defenses here, in conjunction with the light gun and the machine gun, is going to stop me from pressing any further. But I've now got a position where my T-70 can start taking out his battle group headquarters, which is exactly what I'm going to start doing. I've also got some engineers here, and my engineers are going to start flamethrowing it as well. Does a little bit of damage. And I'm actually going to use something I don't use very often, but these guys have a skill called demolition charges, and that's going to let me just sort of cut straight through this building a little bit more, a little bit faster. So I think it's this unit actually that I run up there and just plant a demolition charge on it and detonate it. But I've got a commanding position here now. I've got troops sort of spread out to try and attack, counterattack when they move in with a blob, so that I don't get too blobbed up for those MGs, which is sort of the key unit that he's going to have against me. So here you can see that attack coming in. He's got Volksgrenadiers moving in. I've got my demolition charge over here now. I detonate it, and yeah, they basically lose their command headquarters, which is a big loss. Over here, T-70, flamethrower, that's just not going to work well for these guys. Flamethrower moves in against these guys as well, and it's going to start burning through these MGs and the everybody else that they've got. My shock troopers are suppressed, but that doesn't really matter. And now they've just got the heavy machine guns, because for the most part these guys are forced back, so at this point in time he's again forced to retreat his units. Engineers, these guys have to get out. They do. I get another veteran C unit on an engineer of all things, but these guys, there's 3 of them now. It's pretty decent. I've still got a reserve of shock troopers just in case he tries anything else. I've got another unit of shock troopers that's moved in. So these shock troopers just really, really important against Oberkommando commanders. I think that, well, I have beaten them without them before, but I think that they're one of the most important elements to use against them. Forced back with these particular shock troopers, unfortunately. These guys are just too weakened to fight the Fallschirmjägers mixed with the Volksgrenadiers, so that's going to be a hard fight for me. T-70, however, going to move in yet again, and like T-70s are just so good against these guys. I really do think so. In any event, though, we've started our T-34 up, which by destiny means that this guy has only a very short lease on life left to live. He's going to go in there and just start cleaning out, if I recall, he starts taking out this MG-43. Gets shot up by these guys really badly, but it's going to live. It's going to back up fine. So, quite lucky. MG is forced to retreat back. It does not die, though, unfortunately. Up here, I've got the Stormtroopers full health, Shock Troopers full health against a Volksgren and a Fallschirmjäger. Back here, I've got some riflemen that are going to run in there. What I'm going to do is actually run my tank back up into the fight. I've got the T-34, which means I'm not too worried about what happens to the T-70. And unfortunately, they Panzerfaust my, my T-70, if I recall. Yeah. So if we look here, I think it's the Fallschirmjäger that have it, so if we look at Fallschirmjägers, where are you? Well, I can't look at that right now because they're retreating, but they won't be retreating for very long, so there's that. They've got plenty of anti-tank in the sector, so I'm not sending up my T-34 just yet because I don't think that's really worth it. I think that it would just get killed far too easily. And in fact, if I recall, I end up sending it against this MG-40... No, I send Stormtroopers against it, but in any event, I'm still controlling 2 points. My opponent really is fighting hard for this last one, and that's all that he can really contest, so that's working really well for me. Fallschirmjägers over here, you can see they've got the Panzerfaust, and they've also got these smoke grenades, and they've also got satchel charges, or bundle grenades, so very good stuff here. Good unit. In any event here, I've got conscripts. They're fighting 2 units of these Volksgrenadiers. The thing is, the Volksgrenadiers with the anti-tank weapons lose out quite a bit on their anti-infantry capabilities, so I'm feeling pretty confident that my conscripts are going to be able to do really disproportionate stuff to these guys. Unfortunately, not able to follow through with that too much. Send up the T-34 up here, try and dislodge, once again, the machine gun 43. I've still actually got my machine gun posted in here, and I should have retreated back to regain some health on them, but it doesn't really make a difference. In any event, these guys, I think I send them back at this point in time. Like, the machine gun is just sort of going to like set up and think, I'm going to get these guys, but then suddenly a tank. So yeah, that's what happens to these guys. And then they sort of back into a bunch of these guys, and it's kind of lovely. I do back my tank up too far here because he is going to prove that he has got some anti-tank capability, but in any event, like, he's forced back into his base with his infantry support gun. That's like having mortars here. Like, I would not be able to even hit over here. Like, it's guarding this spot over here, and just a little bit further. I mean, he is kind of screwed. Taking away even his support weapon thing here, at this point in time, I've got quite a lot of troops that are quite badly battered, but I'm going to be able to start sending them to the fort as well. As you can see, I'm very deficient in manpower because I've got pretty close to the population cap. I'm up to 73. My opponent is getting manpower a lot faster than I am. He's only at 62, so he's getting 207, but he's not getting any gas. He's got like 9 gas. So, I mean, that's sort of that. But you can see that this guy's holding on a lot better than my other opponent was. I think that for some strange reason, like the Overcommando West is a little bit more of a durable faction. Maybe they don't have necessarily a better time actually winning games or something like that, but they seem like they're much, much better at surviving. So here, again, you've got a lot of enemy troops here. They've got these Panzerfausts. They're not getting very good hits for the front armor, though. I'm able to run my shock troopers right into the front here and take out a lot of enemy troops, but it's not going to be quite enough considering how much they've got, and they've also now got this Jagdpanzer. I think the Jagdpanzer was probably a bad decision. I run my T-34 back to get away from it, and I'm forced to actually retreat this big ball of troops because they end up being suppressed, so that's going to suck for us. I send in the IL-2 just sort of give me a little bit of time here. Anything that's behind this line can't follow through and help the assault here, but what I wanted to do is lure this guy up so I could hit it with my conscript squad with the anti-tank grenade. And the reason for this is I kind of want to be able to get around behind it with my T-34 and kill it. So here you can see I've managed to disable the engine, and I've got a rear armor hit with my T-34. My T-34 now has a huge advantage over this guy. This thing is basically just a sitting duck. So I'm able to drive my T-34 sort of alongside it, and I'm actually going to destroy their Jagdpanzer tank hunter. And that's a really good kill for me. And then I zip away with the T-34. Now the T-34 is going to get chased much, much further than I thought it was going to. These Volksgrenadiers really want it dead, so it ends up getting destroyed. But I'm forced back a long, long, long way. But he's sort of stopped here. These Fallschirmjägers aren't able to take this point, and they're sort of losing men to this machine gun. So it's a good thing that was still there. I've got another T-34 built, so even if I do lose this one, it's not a huge deal. In any event, though, I've got these stormtroopers now heading to the central point. I want to make sure that my opponent can't actually take it. Now, the unfortunate thing is, it's T-34, poor T-34. I was sending an engineer squad to it when they've got a flamethrower as well, but this big infantry set of conscripts and that one shock trooper is going to be able to do some good here. Unfortunately, yeah. He retreats these guys back because of the flamethrower. Fortunately, I'm able to get the other T-34 up here. It's going to start running them down and is actually going to defeat the unit, so that works out relatively okay in our favor. Over here, though, all I've got is a conscript squad. I don't really want to go up here with that MG up there, so I'm going to wait till this T-34 is not busy, and then I'm going to send it up there. So over here, 2 shock trooper squads able to easily retake that central point. You can see just that I've got my troops sort of spread around, though. I'm not really focusing them in a central defensive location, and I'm keeping them mobile to sort of take and retake and sort of smash aside anything that my opponent has. But you can see that my opponent is doing a similar thing. He's got all of his infantry in this mobile blob. But there's a difference. Because I've got my forces so spread out and then I converge, you can see that like my forces came together very, very quickly. I wasn't actually this clumped together, but now I am, and I'm able to push through very, very effectively against my opponent's troops here. You can see just moving straight through these troops. And I think that's a big important thing to do when you're using shock troopers, is to not really clump up your troops, is to keep them sort of mobile and keep them sort of spread out, but then converge in on your opponent once you've got an opportunity to sort of take them out. Over here, I think that these guys actually do manage to eventually take out my machine gun over here, but in any event, we run over a couple of these Volksgrenadiers. We shoot down another one. This one's pinned, so he's going to get owned by a quick shot. Survives that somehow, but he's basically done for. I think he gets killed. I hope he gets killed. Jesus. Oh man, he lives. Okay, no, there we go. Okay. So yeah, at this point in time, my opponent is sort of getting wise to this. He's starting to spread his troops out a little bit, but I'm re-spreading my troops after that big engagement. I'm retaking points. Come on, retake that point. But anyway, like, you can sort of see that sort of very fast, fluid ability to do this is much better on my side than it is on his. He's got this MG here, and MG is the last thing you want to try and capture this kind of point with, because it can't do it. It can't really defend against a more fluid attack by itself. It needs support. So he's going to run it in through these shock troopers as well. They're going to really just shred through these guys really nicely. They're going to be able to wipe that squad as well. So I retake basically everything except this because I'm a moron, and these guys are still chasing them before they go retake this point. So we got another T-34 as well. I'm not really concerned about my opponent's armor. Like, that vehicle that he built is basically the only armor he's going to be able to get in this entire game. Like, it takes him 10 minutes to get 63, this 60 fuel. By comparison, I'm getting 67. I'm getting 10 times as much fuel as him, more now. So basically, he's kind of screwed as far as that goes. Oh, that's munitions. Sorry, it's fuels. This he's getting 9. I'm only getting 38. So you know, it's a little bit more equitable. In any event, he manages to bring in a big old push through here, and it includes some good units for taking out this kind of position here. The Fallschirmjägers are going to be able to throw a grenade in here, and that's going to take out my MG. Yeah, so they're all dead now. But fortunately for me, T-34 manages to get here. I managed to run over some of these guys here. They get into the building, and that's not going to help them much. I should have used my shock troopers to throw a grenade into the building, but I didn't really care because I've got the T-34s pounding the building away anyway, so they can't fire their Panzerschrecks from inside a building. That doesn't actually work, so they get out of the building and they're forced to retreat. They're reduced to 1 guy. I mean, it's nice for them that they got away, but it kind of sucks for me. In any event, they've got this other building here, and they've unfortunately got a Raketenwerfer, which is going to cause good damage to my T-34. I am going to back it up in time to not lose it, though, so that's fine. You're going to see I lose my optics on it, though, in that last shot there. I'm lucky that it didn't get destroyed, so, you know. That infantry support gun is just a real pain, and there's not much I can do to take it out. In any event, yeah, that is going to basically be the game. There's not much time left. But yeah, the Oberkommando West player, I find these players hang through a lot more shit than the standard Wehrmacht forces do. I think that their faction is a little bit stronger and a little bit more competent all in all. And I'm really worried that this might be endemic or indicative of a sort of a power creep for this game, which tends to happen with these games, especially ones made by Relic. So I'm hoping that that's not the case, and I'm hoping that it's just speculation on my part, and we'll find out that the Oberkommando over time, maybe it's because maybe I'll get more used to them and understand a little bit more about how they operate. But you know, for now, I think that they're a little bit more powerful than the Germans. That makes me a little bit worried. I think that the Americans as well are a little bit more flexible and a little bit more powerful than the Soviets. So hopefully I'm proven wrong on that regard, and it turns out that every faction is relatively well balanced. I don't actually think that the factions are necessarily that well balanced right now already, but you know, you can hope for the best anyway. Anyhow, that is going to be these two matches. Tell me what you think, and of course, as I mentioned earlier, do check me out on Twitter if you happen to be into that sort of thing. And as always, I hope to see you all next time.